Oi, fala aí pessoal, bom dia. Você está escutando o Inglês no rádio. I am your host, Foster Hodge. This is your daily dose of English. Hey guys, what's up? It's Foster. I'm going to give a brief introduction and talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. So yesterday we were talking about Benny Lewis, the founder of Fluent in 3 months, the most famous language blog in the world. And the conversation kind of drifted with Alexia's guidance towards donuts, makeup, and it was wonderful. But I did want to touch on a couple of points about Benny. Is that cool, Alexia?
Yeah,
Is that okay with you?
of course.
Yeah. So yesterday we talked about the first 2 points of Benny's book that is called Fluent in 3 months. Really, the first point is you should always study a language before you travel, right? You have the internet, use the internet to your advantage. Or if you can find native speakers in your city, that's even better. The second point is really start speaking from day one. So, Alexia, would you recommend someone, let's say, do you have any friends that speak zero English?
Yes.
Okay. Would you recommend to them today start speaking English with a native speaker?
If I would recommend them to start, or what I would recommend. Sorry, I didn't understand.
Okay. So, one of Benny Lewis's principal philosophies is you start speaking on day one. So, for example, if a Brazilian wants to learn English, they make the decision, they say, vou aprender inglês. Primeiro dia, eles vão falar com falante nativo.
Yeah, I would recommend that. It was how my dad learned French.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, do you have any recommendations with that? Because it's pretty scary.
I think that if you are going to have a very, very good class lesson with a professional, right? They will know how to get along with that. So it's like I,
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
So Marco, my dad, Foster,
Yeah.
teacher. So
That's what I always tell my students is you will be surprised how much you know
yeah,
just from the small amount of information. I remember something that Tony Marsh told us on, I think, episodes 37 and 38. He's saying that with just one word, with saying like I or I am, I'm, right? I'm Foster. I'm a boy. I'm American. And then you can say you're, like you are. You're Alexia.
mm-hmm.
You're Brazilian. You're 28. You're beautiful. You love donuts. Right? So even with a very, very small information, you can start talking pretty soon.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Cool. So on that one, yeah, I think I agree with Benny for the most part. Okay, point number three about Fluent in 3 months. Alexia, give me one of those sweet, sweet drum rolls. Point number 3 is be conversational before moving on to more technical aspects. Alexia, your first reactions.
Well, I think that's what we do here. We don't like to talk about much technical aspects. Like, we want people to be natural and feel comfortable with the language. And then you filter for things that this person really needs, right?
What do you mean you feel what?
You feel, not feel, filter.
Yeah, filter?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting word choice. But yeah, I agree that for me, with languages, the goal is always conversation. So it makes sense to try to become conversational before focusing on the difference between the preterite and imperfect tenses and the past, present, continuous, and phrasal verbs being separated and unseparated. And oh my God,
Yeah,
So you try to have conversations first, and then you're going to learn a lot of things in the process.
yeah, that's what we like to do it here.
Yeah. So the reason I think this is really important is number one, you're focusing on your goal. If your goal is to speak English, the main thing you're doing when you're speaking English is having conversations, right? So it's an objectified goal that you can measure. And also, I think through conversation, you build the capacity of all of these other parts of language that people really care about in the beginning. You build them naturally, more organically. You just have an intuition for them, right? If you can have a good conversation with someone, then you probably understand a lot of English grammar and a lot of vocabulary and pronunciation without even having studied that formally.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah. So you agree on this one?
I do.
Cool. Okay, so the last point for today, Alexia, give me one of those drum rolls, please.
Drrrr.
Benny's last point is adapt to the culture. Always keep practicing and master one language before starting another.
Yeah,
So that's really like 3 points there.
that's what the last point about this, like master one language before taking on another, is one thing that I always tell my students that they are trying to learn Portuguese and Spanish at the same time. And I'm always like, no, don't do that. Don't do that with you and with me, because it's ridiculous, you know. So I always tell them, like, choose one first. I'll wait. I'll be here.
Yeah,
No problem at all.
I totally agree. And I have a lot of opinions on that. So I think that's a good podcast episode. Learning 2 languages at once. Cool. So adapting to the culture and always keep practicing. I think this is fundamental. And I don't think people give it enough attention. So adapting to the culture is like when you're here, it's really easy for you to live like an American every day. But you always have to be, every day I want to be a little bit more Brazilian, understand a little bit more how Brazilians think, the way they feel, the way they talk, the way they act. It's a consistent process. Like there will never be one day where I say, okay, now I speak fluent Portuguese. It just continues forever.
I was talking about it on Instagram. Every time that I move places, that I go to new countries, I try to understand the new country and try to adapt myself to this culture, new things. So I don't try to impose my culture on them because I'm living on their country. So small
You're living
things
in their country.
in their country, small things.
Yeah.
That will help you a lot with learning languages and trying to understand them more. Like going to a store. Hello, ma'am. How are you? In Brazil, we never say Olá, senhora.
Yeah.
It helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we love languages. We love learning them and teaching them. But if we're being really honest, language is just a tool for communication, for meeting new people, for understanding and exploring new cultures. So I think Benny he hit the nail on the head with this one, that don't forget about the culture.
Yeah.
And do you understand the phrase hit the nail on the head?
Yes, of course.
Do you have a similar phrase in Portuguese?
I can't remember right now, mas eu poderia falar ele acertou em cheio.
Exatamente. Bom, só isso por hoje.
Ok.
Até a próxima.
Até a próxima. Bye.
Tchau, tchau. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Inglês no Rádio. If you like what we do, if you want to support the show, please check out inglesnocru.com. At inglesnocru.com, you can find everything from the worksheets for these episodes to learn all of the best pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, real English, the way we speak it on the streets. You can also do personalized private coaching sessions with me in our pronunciation course, Sounds Cool. Most importantly, keep up the good fight and lose well. Até já já.